What if I told you that the way you think, strategize, and move through life can be measured on a scale that separates the foolish from the masterminds? Niccolò Machiavelli, the man who decoded power itself, didn't just write about politics. He mapped out 7 distinct levels of intelligence that determine whether you're a puppet in someone else's game or the one pulling the strings. Most people never make it past level 3, and the scary part? They don't even realize it. So right now, pause for a second and ask yourself, where do you actually rank? Because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which level you're operating on, and trust me, the truth might shake you. Welcome to Depth of Psyche, where we dive deep into the minds that shaped history. Before we reveal these 7 levels, hit that like button and subscribe, because this channel is about to change how you see yourself and everyone around you. Let's start at the bottom with level 1. The instinctive thinker. This is where most people spend their entire lives without ever questioning it. At this level, you're driven purely by survival instincts, immediate reactions, and basic needs. You don't plan, you don't strategize, you just respond to whatever life throws at you. Machiavelli observed that these individuals are predictable, easy to manipulate, and completely unaware of the games being played around them. They live paycheck to paycheck, not just financially, but mentally. Every decision is made in the moment with zero foresight. If someone insults them, they lash out immediately. If they see something they want, they chase it without thinking about consequences. The instinctive thinker is essentially running on autopilot, controlled by emotions, cravings, and external circumstances. Machiavelli would say these people are not living, they're merely existing. They're the masses that rulers exploit because they're so easy to read and control. Think about it. How many people do you know who make the same mistakes over and over, who complain about their lives but never change anything, who react instead of respond? That's level 1. The good news is, if you're watching this video, you're already showing signs of moving beyond it. Self-awareness is the first step out of instinctive thinking. Now we move to level 2, the conformist. This person has graduated from pure instinct, but only slightly. They've learned to follow rules, fit into society, and do what's expected of them. On the surface, this seems like progress, and in some ways it is. The conformist holds down a job, pays their bills, follows laws, and maintains relationships. But here's the problem. They're still not thinking for themselves. Machiavelli saw conformists as the backbone of any society, necessary but ultimately powerless. They absorb whatever beliefs are handed to them by culture, religion, media, or authority figures, and they never question any of it. These are the people who say things like, "That's just how things are done," or "Everyone does it this way." They find comfort in blending in being normal, in not rocking the boat. The conformist fears standing out more than they fear being wrong. They'd rather be accepted by the group than be right on their own. Machiavelli understood that while these people are easier to govern than instinctive thinkers, they're also dangerous in their own way. When conformists gather in large numbers, they become mobs. They cancel, they shame, they enforce groupthink without ever realizing they're doing it. History is filled with examples of conformists enabling terrible things simply because everyone else was doing it. So ask yourself, how many of your beliefs are actually yours? How many opinions did you form independently versus absorbing from your environment? If you can't answer that confidently, you might still be operating at level 2. Level 3 is where things get interesting. This is the ambitious thinker. At this stage, you've broken free from pure conformity. You have goals, dreams, and the drive to achieve them. You're willing to work harder than others, take risks, and stand out from the crowd. Machiavelli would recognize you as someone with potential, someone who's starting to play the game rather than just being played. But here's the catch. Ambition without wisdom is dangerous. The level 3 thinker often confuses motion with progress. They're busy, they're hustling, they're grinding, but they're not necessarily strategic. They might be climbing a ladder that's leaning against the wrong wall. They trust too easily, they reveal their plans too openly, and they assume everyone else is playing fair. This is where people get burned. They work hard, they sacrifice, and then someone more strategic swoops in and takes credit, steals their idea, or undermines them politically. Machiavelli saw countless ambitious people destroy themselves because they had drive but lacked discernment. The ambitious thinker is strong, but they haven't yet learned that strength without strategy is just wasted energy. Many entrepreneurs, artists, and hard workers live at this level. They achieve some success but hit invisible ceilings they can't explain. That ceiling is the gap between ambition and actual intelligence. If you're constantly working hard but not seeing proportional results, you're probably at level 3. And it's time to level up. Here we go. If you found this valuable so far, drop a comment below and tell me which level you think you're currently at. Be honest with yourself. Also, share this video with someone who needs to hear this, because understanding these levels could literally change someone's life. Now let's keep going. Level 4 is the strategic mind. This is where Machiavelli himself operated, and it's where real power begins. The strategic thinker doesn't just have goals, they have plans within plans. They understand timing, they read people, and they know that the visible game is never the real game. At this level, you stop reacting and start orchestrating. You think 3 steps ahead. You recognize patterns that others miss. You understand that every action creates a reaction, and you use that knowledge to your advantage. Machiavelli's entire philosophy was built for the level 4 thinker. He taught that appearances matter more than reality, that it's better to be feared than loved if you can't be both, that you should never reveal your full hand. The strategic mind knows when to speak and when to stay silent. They know when to be generous and when to be ruthless. They understand that power is not taken, it's positioned for. These are the people who seem to effortlessly rise through organizations, who always land on their feet, who make things look easy because they've done the invisible work of strategy. But level 4 comes with its own trap. The strategic thinker can become cynical. They can start seeing everyone as either a tool or a threat. They can lose touch with genuine human connection because they're always calculating. Machiavelli himself warned about this. Strategy without virtue becomes manipulation. Intelligence without ethics becomes corruption. So while level 4 is impressive, it's not the highest level, there's more. Level 5 is the philosophical intellect. This person has all the strategic capability of level 4, but adds depth of understanding that transcends personal gain. They think not just about winning their own game, but about the nature of the game itself. They ask bigger questions. What is power for? What kind of world am I creating? What legacy am I leaving? Machiavelli wrote about princes and politics, but his deeper readers know he was also exploring human nature, morality, and the fundamental tensions between ideals and reality. The level 5 thinker can hold contradictions. They can be strategic and sincere, strong and compassionate, realistic and idealistic. They've moved beyond simply accumulating power to asking what power should be used for. These are your true leaders, your innovators, your culture shapers. They're rare because most people either get stuck in lower levels or they reach level 4 and become so focused on winning that they forget to ask why they're playing. The philosophical intellect has perspective. They've read history, studied psychology, explored philosophy, and they use all of it to inform their decisions. They don't just react to the world, they don't just strategize within it, they actually shape it according to deeper principles. But even this isn't the top. Level 6 is the visionary architect. This person doesn't just think philosophically, they create new realities. They're not playing the existing game, they're inventing entirely new games. Think about the people who fundamentally changed how we live, the founders of major religions, revolutionary political thinkers, breakthrough scientists, paradigm-shifting artists. These people saw possibilities that didn't exist and made them real. Machiavelli himself operated at this level when he essentially created modern political science. Before him, people wrote about politics moralistically, about what should be. Machiavelli wrote about what is, and in doing so, he gave future generations a completely new framework for understanding power. The visionary architect has transcended personal ambition. They're thinking in terms of generations, movements, systems. They're playing the longest possible game. But here's what's fascinating. At this level, you often appear crazy to people at lower levels. Visionaries are misunderstood, dismissed, even persecuted in their own time. Only later does everyone realize they were right. The visionary architect needs all the previous levels: the strategic capability, the philosophical depth, the ambitious drive, but they add something else, courage to stand alone and conviction to persist when everyone says they're wrong. This is rare air. Very few people ever reach level 6. But there is one more level. Level 7, the transcendent sage. This is almost mythical, but Machiavelli hinted at it. This is someone who has mastered all previous levels, but has also transcended the need for external validation, power, or legacy. They've seen through the game entirely. They understand that all the strategies, all the philosophy, all the vision, it's all still part of the human drama, and they've made peace with that. The transcendent sage acts without attachment to outcomes. They influence without needing to control. They teach without needing followers. They've reached a state where intelligence and wisdom have merged completely. Think of certain spiritual teachers, ancient philosophers, or those rare individuals in history who seem to operate from a completely different paradigm. They're in the world, but not of it. Machiavelli probably never claimed to be at this level himself, but his writings show he understood it exists. The sage knows that the ultimate intelligence is recognizing the limits of intelligence itself, that there are mysteries beyond strategy, truths beyond philosophy, and a peace beyond ambition. So here's the real question. Where are you right now? And more importantly, where do you want to be? Here at Depth of Psyche, we believe that understanding these levels is the first step to ascending them. Most people will watch this video and forget it by tomorrow, but you're different. You're still here. You're thinking, you're questioning. That alone puts you ahead of most of the world. Comment below and let me know. Which level resonated with you the most? Which level do you think you're currently operating from? And which level do you aspire to reach? Let's create a conversation. And if this video opened your mind even a little bit, hit that share button. Send it to someone who's ready for this kind of depth. Subscribe to Depth of Psyche if you haven't already, because we're just getting started. Intelligence isn't fixed. It's not something you're born with and stuck with forever. It's something you can develop, expand, and elevate, but only if you're willing to look at yourself honestly and do the work. Machiavelli gave us the map. Now it's up to you to choose your path. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where we go even deeper.